Hi, this is Nightline and I'm Muhammed Hamdan. The headlines. PM calls for stricter checks after complaints of profiteering. And police receive report claiming ownership of 500,000 ringgit found in mall car park. Good morning. We begin with this headlining story. Selangor police have confirmed receiving a report from a company claiming that a suitcase that was found at a shopping mall in Damansara containing more than 500,000 ringgit in cash belongs to them. State Police Chief Datuk Hussein Omar Khan said the company filed a police report in Shah Alam on Thursday. Earlier, the pink and white luggage bag containing the cash was found by a security guard at the car park of the shopping mall. Police received a report from the security guard in his 30s who discovered the suitcase at around 8 a.m. on Wednesday.
Hasil semakan dan juga pengiraan dalam beg luggage tersebut mengandungi wang kertas RM100, RM50 dan RM10, berbagai not kombinasi lah. Dan jumlah dia yang saya boleh kata sekarang ini adalah melebihi setengah juta. Jadi pihak polis telah membuka satu kertas inquiry paper ataupun kertas pertanyaan polis untuk menyiasat kepunyaan siapa wang.
He said police inspected the bag and found that it contained 10 ringgit, 50 ringgit and 100 ringgit banknotes, totaling over 500,000 ringgit. Checks on surveillance in the area found that there were no CCTV cameras facing the location where the bag was found. However, there were cameras facing the entrance and exit of the car park, and police are studying the footage to aid in their investigation. Hussein said anyone who may have lost such a substantial sum of money should come forward to the Petaling Jaya police station, adding that proof must be provided to verify ownership of the money. If no one comes forward, police will hand it over to the court for further action. The Prime Minister has called for enforcement agencies to ramp up monitoring of food prices following complaints about traders' prices, despite the decrease in the cost of some raw materials and essential items. Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said although the inflation rate is decreasing, it does not reflect the current situation. Speaking at the Finance Ministry gathering on Thursday, Anwar said food prices increased despite the inflation rate or percentage of goods prices recorded down to 1.6% for the fourth quarter of last year from 2% in the previous quarter.
Walaupun saya tidak nafikan di lapangan kadang harga tinggi. Saya lihat ada rakan yang komen kepada saya. Harga beras turun, harga gula terkawal, harga ayam turun ketimbang 2 tahun 3 tahun yang lalu, tapi harga makanan naik. Jadi ini mungkin penguasaan, mungkin pemantauan, dan harus juga menuntut kita melakukan tinjauan dan perubahan.
Anwar added sugar and rice prices in Malaysia are cheaper than in other neighbouring countries, but this has led to an increase in smuggling. He gave the example of Pulau Sebatik Sabah, where the northern part is part of Malaysia and the southern part is part of Indonesia, but the whole island benefited from the subsidised prices for crude oil, sugar and rice. Therefore, Anwar stressed that targeted subsidies and implementing new taxation methods were crucial. Meanwhile, Anwar also revealed that Malaysia has successfully attracted potential foreign investments amounting to 76.1 billion ringgit as of March. This follows the country's successful trade and investment missions in Australia, Germany and France.
Negara ini harus aman, politik harus stabil, dan masyarakat, ya, baik pejabat awam, pimpinan politik, peniaga, pengurus, harus jelas matlamat mereka, kerja mereka. Dasar harus jelas. Seperti saya kata, clarity in our economic policies. Itu akan membantu, Ustaz. Dan ini akan memberikan harapan baru.
The success in the trade and investment mission to Australia attracted investments worth 24.5 billion ringgit, while Germany and France amounted to 46 billion ringgit. The Prime Minister also noted that the economy is expected to strengthen further, growing 4 to 5% this year. Export performance also showed signs of recovery last January, with an increase of 8.7% after declining for 10 consecutive months from March to December last year. Malaysia achieved 329.5 billion ringgit in approved investments last year, the highest in the country's history. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister reaffirmed the federal government's stance to fulfilling its obligation in providing federal development allocations for states. This after PAS-led Terengganu accused him of being cruel for the arrears of oil royalty payment. Anwar said he was compelled to respond to the latest accusations levelled against him, stating that his administration has never withheld any form of state allocation, including for Terengganu.
Untuk 2023, berdasarkan hasil petroleum, wang yang diberikan ia 786 juta ringgit. Okey, baik. Tetapi pemberian persekutuan kepada negeri Terengganu untuk 2022 399 juta. Untuk 2023 kita tambah. Maknanya semasa PAS bersatu dalam kerajaan dengan kita dalam kerajaan, peruntukan masa kita lebih daripada masa PAS bersatu. Zalim macam mana? Kita tambah jadi 413.64 juta.
Anwar explained that said allocations are channeled directly to the people through government-funded programs instead of their respective elected representatives, with those targeted comprising the hardcore poor. The Prime Minister also said his government is always open to any form of discussions and suggestions from the state administration on programs such as infrastructure improvements and poverty eradication, which could be funded through oil royalty payments for the benefit of those residing in the state. Later at night, Anwar said that Malaysia is further deepening its collaboration with Thailand in the areas of trade, investment and tourism. The Prime Minister added that he is looking forward to working together with his counterpart, Srettha Thavisin, in other areas.
We are working with Prime Minister Srettha of Thailand to have further collaboration, to enhance collaboration, economic, trade, investments, tourism, between South Thailand and North Malaya, and probably would include North Sumatra. So this is the understanding other than the ongoing programs in ASEAN.
He said this in his welcoming remarks at the Madani Breaking a Fast program with ambassadors, foreign representatives and international organizations at Sri Perdana Complex on Thursday night. Thailand was Malaysia's 7th largest trading partner globally in 2023, with total trade of 113.16 billion ringgit. Anwar also said that besides Thailand, Malaysia is working with Singapore in completing the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone, with a joint agreement between both countries expected to be inked by year-end. Elaborating on Malaysia's collaborations within ASEAN, Anwar said Malaysia would expand and deepen collaborations in several areas, such as energy transition, digital transformation, public health and education.
Who have graced us with their presence.
An insider's look at the rise of digital payments, the dynamics of mobile banking, and how these innovations are transforming traditional financial structures. The impact of fintech on financial ecosystems in emerging markets with Jason Siu, Chief Executive Officer of Zendit Malaysia, this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
The owner of Zin Jian Chang Sdn Bhd, which gained notoriety due to the distribution of socks bearing the word Allah, has been given 60 days to explain to the local authorities why the factory should not be closed down for breaching its business license terms. Failure to do so could result in the company being blacklisted.
Pihak majlis telah mengeluarkan atau menyerahkan notis membatalkan lesen perniagaan dan notis menutup operasi disebabkan ada pelanggaran syarat aktiviti berkaitan perniagaan dan notis itu selama 60 hari dan kita minta owner syarikat untuk menjawab tentang penemuan yang pelanggaran syarat, dan pihak owner syarikat, pemilik syarikat kena datang balik kepada PPT membuktikan bahawa apa tindakan pembaikan yang mereka perlu buat.
The company's factory was served the notice by the Batu Pahat Municipal Council under the council's Trade, Business and Industry Licensing bylaws. Jafni added inspections conducted at 73 KK Supermart convenience stores in the state did not find any socks carrying the word Allah. However, various violations of license conditions were discovered, including issues related to price tags, advertisements which did not adhere to specifications, and failure to separate halal items from non-halal items. The Kuala Lumpur High Court on Thursday denied Ahmad Palestine's bid to commence a legal challenge against the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC's) decision to freeze its 11 bank accounts pending investigation. Judge Dato' Amarjit Singh said the subject matter, a money laundering probe, was not amenable to judicial review. He said that the power to issue freezing orders is part and parcel of the criminal investigation process. No order was made as to costs. Ahmad Palestine had sought to quash MACC's decision to freeze its accounts on grounds of illegality, claiming that the officers who signed the freezing order were not authorized to do so. The MACC froze the funds of Ahmad Palestine and several other companies last year in its investigation into an alleged misappropriation of 70 million ringgit by the NGO. MACC said its investigation was being conducted under the MACC Act 2009, the Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism, Financing and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act 2001 and the Penal Code. Now, the federal court has dismissed an appeal by a 22-year-old man against his conviction and sentence for the murder of 23 people in an arson at the Tahfiz Centre Darul Quran Ittifaqiyah almost 7 years ago. Chief Justice Tun Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat, who chaired a 3-judge bench, said there was no compelling reason that warranted an intervention from the apex court. Tengku Maimun said the court affirmed the conviction and prison sentence imposed by the High Court on the man. On the totality of evidence, she stated that the conviction against the man for the offence is safe. 2 other judges on the panel were Justices Datuk Sri Hasnah Muhammad Hashim and Datuk Nordin Hassan. Pusat Tahfiz Darul Quran Ittifaqiyah, which is located in Kampung Datuk Keramat in Wangsa Maju, burned down in the incident on September 14, 2017. On August 17, 2020, Kuala Lumpur High Court Judge Dato' Azman Abdullah found the appellant guilty and imposed a prison sentence for as long as allowed by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. This is because the appellant was 16 at the time of the offence. Still to come on Nightline, Indonesia opposition candidate files court challenge to election result. Stay tuned.
Media Prima, rakan media rasmi bagi Absolute Bazaar Festival Gaya Raya mempersembahkan kempen Rara Macam Dulu-Dulu. Festival Raya terbesar kembali lagi di Kuala Lumpur dan Johor. Temu mesra dan berhibur bersama lebih dari 60 selebriti terkenal. Boleh beraya dan nikmati pelbagai juadah makan iftar dan sahur. Temui kami di Persada Johor pada 22 sehingga 24 Mac dan Mitek Kuala Lumpur pada 29 Mac sehingga 1 April. Di petak D10 hanya di Mitek Kuala Lumpur. Rara Macam Dulu-Dulu. Hayati kemanisan nostalgia lalu di kawasan aktiviti. Jumpa kami di sana. #Macam Dulu-Dulu.
Malaysia hari ini setiap Isnin hingga Jumaat.
Nak jadi pencipta kandungan boleh, tapi kena berpada-pada. Takkan pasal ibadat pun nak jadi konten.
Kesihatan kita bawakan tentang kepentingan AED.
Kesesakan pada bulan Ramadan ni bukan kat bazar je, tapi kat jalan raya pun sesak. Kenapa ya?
Isu perubahan semakin memeningkan kepala. Ialah rumah makin mahal, kemudian banyak projek yang terbengkalai.
Saksikan MHI 9.30 pagi di TV3.
Juga stream melalui Tonton.
Apa pegah teknologi ini bercanggah, bertentangan dan tidak relevan dengan Islam.
Kita bimbang anak-anak Muslim kita terjunam dalam lembah kebinasaan.
Jika tidak kerana sumbangan Arab, Eropah moden tak mungkin akan wujud.
Akidahnya, syariatnya dan akhlaknya.
Onto the foreign front, Israel's military offensive in the vicinity of Al-Shifa Hospital in northern Gaza is continuing into a fourth day, killing and wounding dozens of civilians. The civilians had been attacked with missiles, artillery shelling and gunfire in and around the hospital, for which the Israeli military has now issued a full evacuation order. According to a source, the Zionist regime were also preventing ambulances or civil defense crew from reaching those injured from the attacks. Israel on Thursday said its troops had killed more than 50 Hamas fighters, taking the number of fighters killed around the hospital to 140 since the operation began on Monday. According to Gaza Health Ministry, some 65 casualties have been reported in the past 24 hours, taking the territory's death toll from Israel's offensive to 31,988. In the meantime, a meeting of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Arab foreign ministers has kicked off in Cairo on Thursday amid efforts to broker a pause in fighting between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. It was understood that the officials are pushing for an end to 6 months of fighting that has killed almost 32,000 Palestinians. According to Blinken, the US has circulated a draft UN Security Council resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire linked to the release of hostages in the Gaza Strip. In his meeting with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince on Wednesday, Blinken also reaffirmed the US commitment to the establishment of an independent Palestinian state with security guarantees for Israel. Meanwhile, Egyptian sources said Arab nations would stress the urgency of finding a political solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Losing Indonesian presidential candidate Anies Baswedan filed a legal case at the Constitutional Court on Thursday to challenge the outcome of an election won overwhelmingly by Prabowo Subianto. Anies said the aim of the case was to ensure democracy was improved and said there were many problems with the election that needed to be corrected. He declined to concede after the results were released on Wednesday, and his team has alleged the current administration had unfairly sought to influence the contest, which authorities have rejected. The Anies team has also complained about the widespread allocation of social assistance, such as rice, fertilizer and cash handouts in key electoral areas, which they said influenced the vote. Official results showed Prabowo won with almost 60% of the vote, followed by Anies with 25% and Ganjar Pranowo with 16%. Moving on, Australia will begin enforcing tougher visa rules for foreign students this week, as official data showed migration hit another record high. From Saturday, English language requirements for student and graduate visas will be increased, while the government will get the power to suspend education providers from recruiting international students if they repeatedly break rules. A new genuine student test will be introduced to further crack down on international students who look to come to Australia primarily to work, while the imposition of no further stay conditions will be used on more visitor visas. The moves follow a raft of actions last year to close off COVID-era concessions introduced by the former government, including unrestricted working hours for international students. 2 national pairs through to second round. Sports after this breather.
Kita dah bagi-bagi, takkanlah tak reti nak balas.
Awak janganlah macam tu. Kena ikhlas. Dah pagi tu, jangan terlalu mengharap. Nanti kecewa.
Saya akan kecewa kalau saya tak pergi bazar Ramadan je.
Tak apa, di WHI kami kongsikan pelbagai menu bazar Ramadan.
Dah beli-beli tu, jangan pula membazir.
Kawal diri, berbelanja dengan bijak.
Dah bahagia satu family, ada pula gangguan orang ketiga.
Nak buat apa perbincangannya Khamis nanti.
Saya dah hindar tapi dia buat tak reti je.
Terus terang je lah.
Susahnya. Semuanya Wanita Hari Ini TV3.
Dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Malaysia Hari Ini setiap Isnin hingga Jumaat.
Nak jadi pencipta kandungan boleh, tapi kena berpada-pada. Takkan pasal ibadat pun nak jadi konten.
Kesihatan kita bawakan tentang kepentingan AED.
Kesesakan pada bulan Ramadan ni bukan kat bazar je, tapi kat jalan raya pun sesak. Kenapa ya?
Isu perumahan semakin memeningkan kepala. Ialah rumah makin mahal, kemudian banyak projek yang terbengkalai.
Saksikan MHI 9.30 pagi di TV3.
Juga stream melalui Tonton.
We're back with sports. Badminton, the 2024 Swiss Open. National men's doubles shuttlers Man Wei Chong, T Kai Wun booked their spot in the quarterfinals after defeating compatriot Arif Junaidi Yap Roy King on Thursday.
The world number 18 duo needed only 31 minutes to defeat Arif and Roy King in straight sets 21-10, 21-11. Wei Kong Kai Woon will next play Leo Roli Carnando Daniel Martin of Indonesia in the quarterfinals on Friday. In the mixed doubles event, national duo Go Soon Hwa Chevon Lai Jemi stormed into the quarterfinals following a hard-fought victory over Hiroki Nishi Akari Sato. The world number 8 pair were forced to work hard before claiming a 21-17, 19-21, 21-11 win over the Japanese pair. Meanwhile, it was the end of the road for national men's doubles duo Go Sis Fei Nur Izzuddin after they suffered a 21-17, 19-21, 15-21 defeat to Thailand Supat Jomko Kitinupong Kedren.
And on to tennis at 2024 Miami Open. Italian Matteo Arnaldi advanced to the second round by defeating Frenchman Arthur Fields in straight sets. The 23-year-old faced no trouble as he claimed a 6-3, 6-4 win over Fields in the first round. Arnaldi, ranked number 38, will play number 17 seed Alexander Bublik next. In another match, Andy Murray booked his spot in the second round after defeating Matteo Berrettini. Berrettini took his first set 6-4 before the Briton clawed his way back to claim the rest of the match with a 6-3, 6-4 win. Murray will next play Thomas Martin Echeverry. Also in the second round was Alex Michelsen. Playing against Lucas Klein, the American was forced to work hard in the first set before claiming a 7-6 win. The second was easier for Michelsen, sealing a spot in the next round with a 6-2 victory. He will play Netherlands number 25 seed Talon Grispo next. Earlier, Hungarian Martin Fucsovics outclassed Australian Max Purcell 6-2, 6-1 to reach the second round. The world number 86 will face third seed Daniil Medvedev next. Up next, dozens arrested in Subang Jaya gambling ring bust.
bagi takkanlah tak reti nak balas.
Awak janganlah macam tu. Kena ikhlas. Dah pagi tu jangan terlalu mengharap. Nanti kecewa.
Saya akan kecewa kalau saya tak pergi bazar Ramadan je.
Tak apa, di WHR kami kongsikan pelbagai menu bazar Ramadan.
Dah beli-beli tu, jangan pula membazir.
Kawal diri, berbelanja dengan bijak.
Dah bahagia satu family, ada pula gangguan orang ketiga.
Nak buat apa perbincangannya Khamis nanti.
Saya dah hindar tapi dia buat tak reti je.
Terus terang je lah.
Susahnya. Semuanya wanita hari ini TV3.
Dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Apakah di antara persiapan kita untuk menghadapi dan hidup dengan teknologi artificial intelligence ini?
Belum selesai lagi bab itu. Sudah bercakap tentang artificial super intelligence. Sudah boleh mengantasi manusia.
Mana kita berpegang? Adakah pada Quran ataupun kita berpaling daripadanya?
AI itu akan menggantikan fungsi manusia sepenuhnya.
Apakah manusia pada hari ini sudah pun terperangkap kepada label bernama kemajuan?
Welcome back. Selangor Police detained 84 individuals, including a Thai national, on suspicion of developing online gambling apps for foreign markets during a raid at a shopping centre here on Monday. Selangor Police Chief Dato' Hussein Omar Khan stated that 94 laptops, 105 mobile phones, 6 luxury vehicles and 15,849 ringgit in cash were also seized in the 3:15 p.m. raid. The syndicate, registered as an information technology company, had hired the detained individuals as IT workers to develop gambling apps targeting markets in Thailand, Brazil, China and Vietnam. Police believe that this syndicate has been operating in another state for the past 3 years and relocated to Selangor at the end of last year. The owners of the said company have also been identified and police are expected to make arrests soon. All the detainees aged 23 to 43 years old are remanded until Friday. The case is being investigated under the Common Gaming Houses Act 1953. Malaysia has a long history of traditional arts. This includes textiles, pottery, wood carving, fabric dyeing techniques and so much more. In addition to these traditional forms, Malaysian artists today have now embraced modern and contemporary styles and mediums, which can range from paintings, sculptures and the performance arts. However, many are still struggle to get noticed. In conjunction with the National Artist Day, Nurin Ramzin files in this report.
One of the key drivers of the Malaysian art market has been the country's growing economy and expanding middle class, resulting in an increased demand for art and cultural experiences. This has led to the emergence of a number of private galleries and art spaces across the country, which showcase the works of both established and emerging Malaysian artists. However, according to a study conducted by Cendana in mid-2021, more than 90% of the arts and culture practitioners were negatively impacted, 77% having lost most or all of their income, 75% of jobs dried up in the market, and 8% of art venues closed permanently. The government has seen the need to take measures into their own hands. In an effort to support the country's art scene, the government has provided funds and support for local artists and institutions to promote Malaysian art on the global stage. One of them is the My Creative Matching Fund Scheme, a grant initiative introduced by the government. It aims to encourage diversifying contributions towards creative projects to create a more sustainable creative industry for all. Communications Minister Fahmi Fadzil said it became apparent that the government would have to find a way to finance and fund these commercial activities, but in a more sustainable way.
For the government, through My Creative Ventures, under this ministry, we've allocated 10 million ringgit for a matching fund scheme. Apart from this kind of program, of course, there are many other programs like those that are outright grants, those that fund the works directly. But I think when it comes to particularly fields of the arts like film, music, I think we have to find perhaps going forward not only new audiences but also new ways of funding. So I think maybe in Malaysia we need to see how the role of private sector, particularly from some of these entities, can contribute to the role that arts can play in Malaysia. A lot of it has to do with what I mentioned earlier about knowing where your audience is. Right now, generally across the world, artists they survive really in maybe certain types of economies.
Art is also about fostering unity and promoting peace, a fact that Fahmi agreed to. For him, art helps cultivate creativity, which can be useful in promoting racial unity.
And for somebody who grew up in the 80s and 90s, you would have on TV artists like Alley Cats. Here's a largely an Indian man singing in Malay to audiences that included Chinese. That's beautiful. I wish we had more artists like that, and we do. So I hope that this National Artist Day will be an opportunity for us to not only recognize but also be more proactive in cultivating the arts and building a sense of national identity and a sense of place for Malaysians.
Overall, Malaysia's artistic community is a rich and diverse field that reflects the country's unique cultural heritage. However, the Malaysian art market is still relatively small compared to other international art markets, such as those in Europe or the United States.
The thing that I find quite a struggle due to the little recognition which I believe other indie artists could relate is on how can we make the mainstream consumers to accept our arts just as much as they accept in the mainstream culture. Great artists are remembered for as long the great arts are appreciated. So I believe that the National Artist Day can be a form of appreciation to all the artists for sharing with us their amazing artworks. That can be a form of healing and also entertainment to the community.
In short, there is no history or culture without art. National Artist Day celebrates art in all its forms, from paintings, sculptures, music, photography, and so much more. Let's take this celebration to show our respect for all the passion and creativity to all the brilliant and aspiring Malaysian artists out there. Nurin Razmin for Nightline, TV3.
And as Nightline draws to a close this time around, let's take a look as paleontologists in Peru revealed the discovery of an ancient giant dolphin. The National Major University of San Marcos announced the discovery of a skull belonging to the largest known river dolphin to ever roam the waters of what is now called the Amazon. With that, I'm Muhammed and Hamdan. Thanks for tuning in and selamat bersahur.